the Thursday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. I'm Eric, joined with my buddy Ryan as we break down the Thursday 11-game NBA DFS slate. We had a 2-game appetizer, and now we have an 11-game royal feast, basically. I don't even know how to start with this. Luckily, I got you sitting sidecar with me. How you doing, my dude?
Doing well. We go from a 2 to an 11-game slate, so it's going to be a frantic slate. I expect a lot of news to be on there for Thursday, so we should get right to it.
Dude, every time you turn your face a little bit like this, it changes where the purple is on your glasses, and it's so sick. You're like you're a little like Cyclops from X-Men. It's just got like that little radar going the entire way. Do you like that? I like that.
Yeah, no, the eye doctor, the optometrist is saying to get some blue light built into these glasses this time around. So that's the reason why I look a little cyborg-esque.
Dude, I love it. No, Cyborg-esque is a good thing by me. Big X-Men fan over here. Anywho, before we get started, get down to that bottom bar. Hit like, hit subscribe. Big time hit subscribe. Very, very helpful to us. And hit the notification bell so you know when this and all the other content at Awesemo is going live. Again, we got 11 games to get to. We are going to try to fly through this thing for you as best as we can because, again, there are going to be so many things and so much news to have play out. Make sure you're following the news guide. Make sure you're following at Awesemo NBA. Awesemo_NBA to be exact. At the top end of point guard over on DraftKings, we've got James Harden, 11,000 against Boston. Not a phenomenal matchup, but like I have no issues playing James Harden, who I don't know if you saw, put up 80 and 73 his last two coming into today, right before the All-Star break. Kind of took a lackadaisical walk through the park during the All-Star game, so he's ready to rock. Luka Doncic coming on a back-to-back. Dallas is on the back-to-back, so 10,800. We'll kind of see how he plays tonight, how that might affect his ownership there, but up against OKC, obviously no resistance there. And then Damian Lillard up against Phoenix. This has been a tough matchup, the toughest matchup actually for point guards in the entire league, going against Phoenix, going against Chris Paul, but it's Damian Lillard. 10-7 is a big number to pay for him, but obviously would definitely be contrarian in this spot, and I have no issue getting there. And I'll also wrap Steph Curry in there, who came off of a ballistic three-point performance in Atlanta, also went ballistic in the All-Star game, made everything, now playing the Clippers here in LA, 10,200. Talk to me about the top end of point guard.
So we got Luka, Harden, Dame, Trey Young, Steph, all leading the way. Kyrie also in the mention. It's 11-game slate, so studs galore. All of those guys have a massive upside. Luka's going to be on a back-to-back 10-8. James Harden. There's still no KD versus Boston. I think we can definitely consider James Harden, especially still riding him out 11K. He might come in kind of low owned just because people might want to save to a guy like Dame Lillard versus a tougher Phoenix matchup. He's done okay. There was a time where Dame Lillard would always struggle against Chris Paul many years ago, but that's kind of turned around over the past few years. 10-7, Dame still has it in his bag. Trey Young versus Toronto, a depleted Toronto team, as Toronto's still missing their whole cast and characters. Steph Curry versus the Clippers, definitely. I'm going to like that quite a bit. He put up, I believe, 68 fantasy points when he played the Clippers last time. It put on a show really early in January. So all of those guys are really are great, and not a hot take. I think Harden's probably my favorite one over there.
Hot take for sure. Absolute hot take. He's terrible at fantasy basketball. Don't play him. Don't roster him. Continue.
And it's an 11-game slate, so his ownership is going to be obviously lower than any other slate just because with the number of games. So excited to be able to get on top of that. We'll see what other value opens up throughout the day. There's going to be some that we talk about on this point guard position, especially in the mid-tier and lower tier options. Luka over there on FanDuel, Dame, Steph, Trey in order pretty much go 10-4, 10K, 9-7. 8-8 respectively. Kyrie comes in at 9K versus Boston. I say versus Boston because that's his former team. And last time he put up 58 fantasy points against Boston. That was at Boston, by the way, but we'll see what he wants to do against this Boston team tomorrow. I like that quite a bit. And Kyle Lowry definitely deserves a mention against Atlanta. There's no one really else there to dominate the ball. I expect him to really take care of the usage over there for the Raptors tomorrow.
Yeah, we're looking at Toronto Chalk Day from the get-go. You just click on that point guard position. You're still going to have Van Vliet, Malachi Flynn out. which actually matters, which is stupid. Terrence Davis has a Q mark next to him, so with an ankle injury, so it could just be Kyle Lowry. Him, and I guess we'll get to Norman Powell later too. But man, they are just absolutely depleted again. You're going to continue to see Siakam, OG Anunoby. So Kyle Lowry definitely going to be the chalk of the position, but rightfully so. Working our way down there a little bit. I'm sticking on DraftKings here at the moment. We've got some interesting spots with Derrick Rose, who's already been ruled out. I want to play Isaiah Quickly, but again, not Isaiah Quickly, Emmanuel Quickly. I don't even know where that came from. Isaiah Thomas, maybe? I don't know where my brain went. But Emmanuel Quickly sitting at 5,300. That's just going to be really, really tough to get to on an 11-game slate because trusting Tibbs is like trusting an ex-girlfriend. Don't do it. You just can't do it. I'm pretty sure a little bit further down, Saban Lee, 4,400. If you were to still have Delon Wright sit out, but again, just not enough minutes for this slate, you need to be very, very selective at point guard because there are massive ceilings up and down the position. Obviously, we're going to get value that shows up that we have no idea about as we're recording this right now, but I can tell you from the get-go that Kyle Lowry's a great play, James Harden's a great play, and you should play a lot of both of them. Would you agree?
No, definitely agree. And there's some other great matchups. John Wall versus the Sacramento team. De'Aaron Fox on the other side. 8-5, 8-2 for those two guys. LaMelo Ball, 8-9. I'm talking about FanDuel pricing here. Lonzo Ball has been great. Now playing a very tasty Minnesota matchup, 6,800. We've mentioned so many guys that have massive, massive ceilings. Over there in DK, a guy at 5,300 who's going to play a ton of minutes for no Ben Simmons tomorrow as their barber potentially had to put them in health and safety protocols is Shake Milton, who's 5,300.
Did they learn nothing from the Chiefs? Did they learn nothing? Don't get your hair cut. Just grow out locks. That's all I have to say.
And then...
I just completely derailed this whole show. You can just gather yourself, continue on. There you go.
Ricky Rubio, no Jordan McLaughlin just got ruled out. Maybe he gets an extra few minutes. Maybe he finds a way to play north of 30 minutes. Could definitely be considered an option. Alfred Payton played 35 minutes last time with no Derrick Rose. I think that's definitely an option as well. Man, it is a loaded slate, especially at point guard. You can mix and match. You can really do whatever you really want. Just because so many guys have north of 50 fantasy point upside on tomorrow's point guard slate.
Little different than today, huh?
Just a little bit, just a tad.
Good Lord. Top end of shooting guard. We got James Harden there, 11,500, the track of the position, rightfully so. He will be very, very highly owned, even at that crazy number, but it's not crazy with Kevin Durant out. Zach LaVine, 9,400 up against Philly. Again, tough matchup. I'm going to find it very difficult to get there. However, 2 games ago against New Orleans, you saw that ceiling exists. Again, 36 points, 8 assists. It's nice to see some of these other counting stats show up in some places. He had 9 boards against Denver 3 games ago. He had 8 assists against New Orleans. He'd have to really kind of put them all together to make that work out. But yeah, that last game before the break, he was a nice contrarian play at shooting guard. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 7,900 sitting down there. And then good Lord of all Christ, 7,800 Paul George. I don't want to do it. But I'm going to do it, and I'm going to do a lot of it. I'm sure 7,800. I'm scarred. Please help me through this.
Yeah, I think we definitely got to go back to Paul George versus this Golden State team. He was getting in his groove before the break. 7,800 seems like a very kind of a discounted Paul George. I like going to that, especially where the slate is ironing out. It might be too expensive to go to Harden over there in FanDuel. We really, at an 11-game slate, we really want him to put up north of 70 again. So on a slate size this big, there is merit to not playing Harden over there in FanDuel and going to a guy like Paul George. Zach LaVine against Philly, a team with no Simmons and Embiid, 2 of their better defenders on their team. So I think we can definitely target LaVine at $9,400 as well. You're going to save a ton of money off of those guys. Devin Booker is currently, I believe, questionable with a knee injury versus a Portland team. He's put up north of 40 fantasy points the last 4 times he's played he's played Portland. So I think definitely something to consider. Tyrus Halbert, 7,600. He's going to be very low owned with that price tag all the way up there, but he will be returning tomorrow. I like finding the money to go to Oladipo on the other side of things. Maybe he's showcasing himself to get out of Houston because he did deny that contract. And I'm sure Houston's going to try to get as much as they want from him in return. So Over there in DK, I think you have Kyrie, you have shooting guard eligibility, 9,600. I like that compared to the 9,700 Levine. It seems like a place to go to. Paul George is definitely in play there, 8,500. The Book as well, 8K. Norman Powell, you have to consider him even at 7,200 versus the Atlanta team. You're going to expect him to play north of mid 30 minutes and 7,200. Potentially take up to 20 shot attempts. And at that price tag, you'll definitely take 20 shot attempts from Norman Powell. Buddy Hield has shown signs of life as he's gone. He's put up 34, 51, and 46 DraftKings points the last 3 times out. And at 6,600, that can get the job done. I know that's something you weren't too excited to hear about Buddy Hield.
It's an 11-game slate. Don't play Buddy Hield. Come on. Don't do this. Not with Halliburton back. I mean, Halliburton's supposed to be back. Play Halliburton at 6,700 over on DraftKings rather than Buddy Hield at 6,600. Just do that for me. On FanDuel, sure, yeah, you could maybe have a little bit of that conversation. It's an 11K difference, but just do something else. Marcus Smart's going to be back. I thought that was interesting. It doesn't matter for this slate whatsoever. I'm not going to play him, but just wanted to point something like that out. The guy I really want to ask you about that I'm having a tough time figuring out what to do with. He was my favorite shooting guard on the last slate against Brooklyn, right before the break on last Wednesday. I believe they played on the 3rd. Victor Oladipo. There's words that they might want to trade him, that they might be trying to move him. Again, 36 minutes doesn't make it look like that's the case. You maybe showcasing him a little bit. This is like the best matchup you can be in up against Sacramento. It is an absolute late night just murder fest. It's a chainsaw rather than just a late night hammer. What is your Victor Oladipo interest on this? Talk me down if you can.
Yeah. I was saying that I expect Houston to definitely showcase him because he did deny that extension. I think we can definitely ride with Oladipo for sure.
Okay, good.
On both sides. I think a saving to a guy on DK who has a shooting guard small forward eligibilities, who played 20 minutes last time, is in Bogdan Bogdanovic. I think he'll be having some value where you got to spend down somewhere. And I think him and Jalen Noel will definitely get some ownership, and I think we can definitely consider both of them. Now, I think people are going to consider Tyrese Maxey as well. Keep in mind, this happened previously. There was no Simmons, and Isaiah Joe cracked the rotation before Maxey. That's fun. Just keep in mind with that Philly situation, and you might not even need to go there as there's so much more sound value elsewhere.
But the thing about this on an 11-game slate is that this can be at a 1% play at this point in time rather than, something that's going to be popular. Obviously, just burned everybody, and this is the kind of time where Tyrese Maxey would go off, right?
Yeah, and it's not going to take much to get over the field on him. And Kevin Porter Jr. Was recalled by the Rockets. He showed out in the G League, was looking like one of the better G League players there. And Daniel House and Eric Gordon are both questionable or out. One of the two are out, and one of them is questionable.
Eric Gordon's questionable. Yeah, 5,100.
If both of those guys are out, he might crack the rotation and play a significant amount of minutes potentially, I think.
So have you seen what those minutes have been in the G League at all? Because again, he just went from a complete unknown. I'll let you take a look at that, and because that'll lead us into small forward, because I believe that's where he's at over on DraftKings. But want to let you guys know about a new promotion that we're running over at Awesemo. 50%. If you're a new user, this is only for new users. If you've never used our website, if you've never gone over there, tried out some of the goods, we are offering 50% off a week of Awesemo Plus Platinum, our highest thing that you can basically upgrade yourself to using the promo code Shamrock. So just use Shamrock at checkout. We have NBA, we have PGA, which again is gigantic. If you're listening to this the night before, we try to get this out every night leading into the slate in the morning. But if you're listening to this the night before, we've got the Players Championship. We'll have a bunch of showdown stuff for that too from the guys Jason Rosslin and Ben Rasa, who just do a great job with our golf products. So check out the PGA stuff there. We have MMA, which is, just got done with the UFC fights this last weekend. We have UFC fights a lot of weekends going forward. So check out all of the goods over there. We just have so many sports that are getting a swing, and obviously MLB coming up in a very, very short amount of time, but obviously that'll lead in. If you want to wait until the end of March, I wouldn't do that. So try to get in now. Check it out. Promo code Shamrock. Going to the top end of small forward, let's go back over to DraftKings because I wanted to see, did you find those minutes for Kevin Porter Jr.?
I'm pulling those up right now.
All right, Jimmy Butler at the top end, 9,500 up against Orlando. Tougher matchup, but we saw that Bam Adebayo's already been ruled out. And when Bam is ruled out, Jimmy Butler does absolutely everything for this team. Up against New Orleans that last time out in that 10-point win, put up 51.25. 2 games prior to it, I believe Bam was out for one of them, 59.5 and 62. So kind of running a little bit of a mini heater all the way up to 9,500, but that price tag is justified. Jason Tatum, who showed more life in an all-star game than he did for the latter half of this season. It's kind of crazy that maybe hopefully something can spark him going from that. But did put up 55 up against Toronto in a good Toronto matchup in their last game before the break. 9,400, big price tag with everybody back. And now Marcus Smart, who we know is a willing participant on the offensive end for whatever reason. Gross. And then Kevin Durant, Ben Simmons out, and Kawhi Leonard, 8,900 up against Golden State. Hasn't really put it together as of late, but somebody I'm still going to have some interest in. Talk to me about small forward.
Yeah, going back to Kevin Porter Jr., he was playing 35 minutes a game there in the G League. So, yeah, so I have no reservations.
Oh, God.
At all.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
Fire it up.
He was balling out, too. He was balling out.
I heard that he was, but I didn't see the minutes were in the 35s. He's 3,200 on DraftKings, so play him. That's cool.
You can read some coaching notes. Maybe I'm being.
Yeah, that's
there's
true.
a lot of other better, more confident value than him. Jimmy Butler, on the small forward side of things, there's no Bam, $9,600. He's going to be a lot less owned than Kawhi Leonard, in my opinion, I think. Maybe not. But I like them both. I like Kawhi against this Golden State team. It was disappointing last time with no Paul George. Really let down my Kawhi lineups that I had over there in DK. But both of those guys are in play. Seems like a day where we can spend up on small forward on FanDuel, some value in other positions. Norman Powell, 7,500. Brandon Ingram against the Minnesota team. Sign me up against Minnesota, Brandon Ingram. I like that under 8K. I think we can definitely go there. Chris Middleton versus the Knicks team. I know the Knicks are slowing things down. He only put up 34 fantasy points last time he played the Knicks in December when they got blown out by the Knicks by 20. So maybe the Bucks have kept that in mind and they want to show out the Knicks. Gordon Hayward versus Detroit. Nothing on Detroit's going to scare Gordon Hayward away. He could easily be the highest scoring small forward on FanDuel just because of the matchup and his upside in shot volume. Spending down, Stanley Johnson might draw the start again. He started last time. He played 36 minutes, put up 23 fantasy points. I like those minutes from Stan Johnson versus Atlanta if you can get that. Bogdanovich is also 3,500. Something that we can consider. Josh Hart's coming in at 5K. I expect those minutes to go down because Zion Williamson is going to return, but definitely should be considered. And Josh Richardson could play. He's always going to play a ton of minutes and find his way getting their peripheral stats as well, especially those FanDuel specific ones I've mentioned before. Over there in DK, Kawhi's under 9K, 8,900. Saving those $600 to Jimmy Butler make a lot of sense to me, but Butler without Bam, I think we can definitely go there as well. No issues whatsoever. Ingram and Tatum, I like saving to Ingram at 8,400. It's pretty nice over there.
Agreed. I normally like to punt small forward. This is kind of gross on this bottom end. Like Kevin Porter Jr. kind of sticks out a little bit. I could see Kent Bazemore as well, depending on some of that Golden State news, seeing how that ends up coming out with Kelly Oubre, who's going to enter questionable again. If he were to not play, we did see Bazemore get slotted into that starting lineup in that one game that wasn't the Thursday game that was the apocalypse. But basically, Bazemore 3,200 on DK would make some sense. Him and Kevin Porter, if you were to see some coaching notes that were sitting there nicely for him. 3,400, DeAndre Bembry, not a sexy play, but played minutes in the 20s the last 3. It's a shorthanded Toronto team. Back when he was with Atlanta, he could spike a 3-point upside randomly, so maybe some shots there too. But it is very, very hairy down here on the bottom end. I'm sure we'll get some news that'll open something up, but otherwise, I think we kind of hit the broad strokes of this position. Anybody else you want to bring up before the road?
No, we just got news that Tyrus Halbert will have a minutes limit tomorrow, so God knows what Luke Walton's minutes limit will be, as we've seen what he's done with Marvin Bagley. When Marvin Bagley was on a limit, asked to play more. So it's Halliburton. He's a rookie. Maybe they're cautious, but just that news just came in.
Normally I would want to play, like, Harrison Barnes is already playing minutes into the 40s, but like it's hard at his price tag now that he's ridden all the way up to 7,100 on DK and 6,900 on FanDuel. The Halliburton news really doesn't do a ton for me because the guys that I would want to go to, like Buddy, I guess it would be an upgrade for Buddy Hield. My God. I'm going to move on to the power forward position. On the top end, over here on FanDuel, Giannis Antetokounmpo, 11,300, coming off of an MVP in the All-Star game. He's very good at fantasy basketball. You should play him if you can fit him. 11-3, but it is a slower-paced New York squad that we've obviously seen trudge up games here and there. Still doesn't affect Julius Randle, who plays 58 minutes a game, but you know what I mean. Speaking of Julius Randle, 9,400, sitting right below him there, up against Milwaukee, so it's definitely a pace-up spot for them. But 42 minutes against Detroit last time out, 56.7. Only played 13 minutes in the All-Star game. And another walk-in-the-park guy. Just some of these nice walk-in-the-parks that a couple of these All-Stars had. Part of it is I couldn't imagine him playing 25 minutes, considering the minutes he's been playing this year in an All-Star game. So not shocking. Fire up Julius Randle. And then Zion Williamson, 9K. Hey, I said he would get up to 10K. I'm not there yet, but 9K Zion Williamson up against this Minnesota team that can't stop anybody. They're playing at a faster pace. He's been consistent as all heck. I'm expecting a couple 60 burgers from Zion in the near future, the very near future. Are you on board with me?
Yeah, I've been saying now let's ride Zion till the 5-figure price tag. We've been riding him every single night that he's been on the slate. The toe rotation, I think, is a thing of the past, so I'm not too worried. But 11K Giannis versus the Knicks. I think we can definitely consider that. Put up 57 fantasy points in 32 minutes when he played the Knicks in December. 11K, him and Harden lead the way in terms of just raw projection. I think I prefer, it's tough. I like them both quite a bit, man. I think I'm going to have to still go with Harden in terms of upside. So there's no KD. And
the power forward position is just like better than I think shooting guard on FanDuel. Like there's not really another spend up option. Like Zach LaVine would be the next guy at 9,400. At power forward, you have Randle, Williamson, Tatum against Brooklyn, which is just a phenomenal nut spot. John Collins, 7,500. Porzingis on a back-to-back might get rested. You could have Kleba to punt with. Like there's going to be options. And James Johnson's breaking the slate right now, by the way. I didn't want to ruin your day, but just throwing it out there because I have 0%. Continue talking.
Yeah, I don't think I have any James Johnson. I know I was getting some with some at the end, but I had chose to take him out there when I was late swapping. But that's neither here nor there. But on to tomorrow, we talk about Giannis and Zion. 11-3, 9K. I like them quite a bit, both of them. It'll be tough to jam in both, I think, just because of the value at the power forward spot. Guys like Boucher, Tatum, Porzingis, all in play. Tobias Harris, 6,900, man. That guy's going to have to shoot the ball on this team quite a bit. There's no Simmons or Embiid. So Tobias Harris, probably one of my favorite plays on the slate in general. I think we're just going to expect him to man up and show out against a Chicago team. Yep. 8,100 over there in DK, much more appropriately priced for the situation. Still a little too cheap with no Simmons and Embiid. I think so. So definitely coming in a solid play. Jeremy Grant should return against the Charlotte team, 7,700. Maybe he was hitting a little wall there, just picking up the usage, and they're just being cautious with him resting. Something that we can definitely target. Now, Aaron Gordon is questionable. If he were to return before he got hurt, with all the point guard injuries that they were having, he was getting a lot more ball handling duty, and that was increasing his pretty much fantasy performances across the board there. So he needs someone to target. I know it was a lower body injury. I do expect the minutes limit just because with his injury history, he's always hurt. But someone we should be all looking to target over the next couple of weeks as his price tag potentially will go up. Over there on FanDuel, Harris, like I said, Chris Boucher stands out pretty solidly. Aaron Gordon is 5,500 over there, so definitely someone to consider. And Jay Crowder all the way down at 4K. With that Portland starting lineup, I think I could see them starting Jay Crowder there for that matchup.
Yeah, we've seen Porzingis play some of these back-to-backs. I'm going to say Maxi Kleba, I said his name earlier, 4,200 would make an all right punt there on FanDuel. Wouldn't have any issue going down there. Nemanja Bjelica has been up to minutes into the mid-20s. Again, we are trying to figure out the mind of Luke Walton. That's not a pretty thing to try to be doing with your life, so I just try to not to do it. I got to bring this guy up because he just frustrates me because he keeps being in winning lineups and I have 0% of him, and I'm probably going to have 0% of him tomorrow. But Nicholas Claxton, who's basically performing at a 2 fantasy point per minute rate over his last 4 games, 15, 12, 17, 16 minutes, 33.1, 7.9, not good. 34.1, 27.1. He's 4K on FanDuel. Would you have any interest in a punt on that guy? I can't deal with it. I can't even try it.
Yeah, I'll have interest if there's no Jeff Green. That's where I'll go to him potentially. But no, it's on a slate this size so big, not really that interested. Another power forward that we need to talk about and we'll talk about on the center spot on FanDuel. Kelly Olynyk, 5,100 was power forward eligibility. No Bam Adebayo, played 37 minutes last time. You're going to need his body for that Vooch matchup. So I like Olynyk at $5,100 quite a bit.
Agreed. Man, again, there's going to be news that opens up some stuff. We just got Cameron Johnson ruled out, which I don't know what that means for the world. He hasn't been playing many minutes anyway, but Jay Crowder at 4K could spike an upside. Only played 23 minutes against Golden State, but they ran Golden State out of the gym. So he's still 4K, can get some stocks, can do some stuff. 4K, he's going to be on the court a lot. Sekou Doumbouya, not really a guy that I'm looking at doing anymore, but he did play 27 minutes against Toronto. That New York game was kind of fluky. Maybe somebody that you can play at the absolute stone cold min on FanDuel. But again, there's enough spots in this mid-range that you can go to. I'm not really looking to do that. Are you ready to round it out?
Yeah, let's talk about the center spot.
Oh, yeah. And center spot, not normally this bad in terms of the top end talent. There are 2 guys that kind of stand out above the rest, though. Nikola Vucevic, 10,400. If Aaron Gordon's back, yeah, I'm sure, maybe 18, 20 minutes of him, that's not going to completely cripple him by any means, but no Bam Adebayo there in the middle. Vooch has shown a crazy ceiling here of late. Very good basketball player. I have his Top Shot if anybody would like to buy that. 10-4, absolutely love the man in general. Karl Anthony Towns, 10,000 up against New Orleans. Steven Adams back. My biggest issue with Towns is he's just not getting these minutes extended past 33. I don't think that there's a reason that they should, considering the Timberwolves are atrocious at basketball. So why not just keep him moderately down there, give him enough run to make him happy, but it's hard to pay $10K for him without getting into those 35, 36 minutes range that we're looking for on a slate this large. Julius Randle, 9,800 on DK, 9,300 for Zion, Porzingis, 8,500. The next true center being Clint Capella, 7,900 against this Toronto team. Maybe a decent enough run back, kind of a double-double machine. His rebounding totals, 21, 14, and 17 the last 3. Talk to me about center.
I'm going to talk backwards. I'm going to go all the way down to 3,800 Dwight Howard versus the Chicago team.
I tried to beat you. Couldn't do it.
Yeah, I think definitely Doc Rivers has started Tony Bradley in the past, but Dwight Howard is just a much better player than Tony Bradley, in my opinion. I think against the Chicago team, he can do serious damage at $3,800 and help us jam in the other studs because there's a ton of them on the other side of things. And you can spend up to potentially a Justin Patton if you think he's going to keep getting minutes. He played 26 minutes last time against Brooklyn, put up 38 fantasy points, and that's Brooklyn, and now it's Sacramento. 4K is 4K. Kelly Olynyk, 4,500. I like spending up this extra $700. $700 can do a lot on the slate, especially tomorrow. So it'll be fun to see what those ownerships come in at. Now, going all the way back to the top, Cat and Vooch. You're going to have interest in both. I think you should have interest in both of those guys, especially when those guys could potentially be the top 5 scoring players on the slate. I loved Cat
last slate, and he just didn't play any minutes. That was my major thing. I can't stand the fact that he hasn't gotten there.
It's just that the blowouts, they just need the games to be a little closer, and I think Cat could definitely get there for you. But games have not been being close. They obviously have a top 3 protected pick that would go to Golden State. So there's a lot of merit for the Timberwolves to tank for Cade Cunningham or Jalen Green. So that's something to keep in mind of just it's a shorter season. So rosters and standing considerations have to be in play. I know there's still a long ways to go and anything can really happen. Over there in DK, Giannis has center eligibility. Yeah, you're going to have interest in Giannis, even at the center spot. And Zion, 9-3. Vooch, 10-4 seems expensive. I'd rather go to Cap than Vooch. Save those $400. It's not I think it's a completely fine option. Porzingis versus OKC team. He was really disappointing without Luka last time. He only put up 37 points, fantasy points, but he could get going against this OKC team for sure. DeAndre Ayton, 6,900 versus Portland. I like that. He's going to be able to, I think, do whatever he wants versus Enes Kanter. And I think his minutes kind of been up in the air. Obviously, they blew out Golden State last time. I would like him to play north of 30 minutes at that price tag. Boucher, 6,500.
Yeah. That's obligatory. We got to bring that up.
Yep. And Rashawn Holmes versus Justin Patton. Justin Patton is a tall dude. Plays really flat-footed, in my opinion. So I think Holmes can find a way to do some damage against Patton for sure. Plumlee has been getting a ton of minutes. His center's loaded. And I haven't even said Dwight Howard over there. He's 5,300 on DraftKings. Obviously, should be considered just because I know it's a lot more efficient pricing over there for him than it is on FanDuel, but you still should consider. I think he should be able to at least play 25 minutes, if not more. And Olenek, also 5,100. It's a loaded slate. You can do a lot with roster construction. It'll be fun to mess around with what the final ownership projections come in at before the slate locks.
So that Thursday, the last Thursday, the fourth, the winner of the slate was Enes Kanter as well, and we didn't bring him up. I wish I had picked up even a little bit more. I had a lot, but I could have had way more and had a better shot at a couple of things. Well, that's not true. Paul George existed, but you had Enes Kanter, who had Charlotte and Golden State for the previous two, and I was kind of concerned about his minutes. He was to 24-23, but I was like, they're going to probably use him against Holmes. Golden State, who is the center there? Draymond Green? And then who is the center against Charlotte? PJ Washington, basically? Like, it was just kind of two spots where Kanter got ran off the floor because he can't guard guys on the perimeter. Well, this is going to be another spot against Phoenix where Ayton, just a slower center, a guy, he's polished enough at center. I do like his game, but like, they'll need Kanter out there. They're going to need his body. They can't play Covington at the 5. So I think he kind of walks into a situation coming off of his 55.25 against Sacramento where you could be looking at extended run. Again, he's up to 7,600 over on DraftKings. He's up to, what is his price tag here? Yeah, 6,700 still on FanDuel. I love that price for him there. I think I'll have a little bit. Talk to me about him and then finish us out.
Yeah, I definitely have some interest in Kanter. He was kind of a late swap special the other night on Thursday. Definitely you can consider Kanter at that price tag. So I have no issues going to Enes Kanter.
Well, that was easy. Okay, perfect. Anything else for us to round us out today, buddy?
No, it's a huge slate. And for those who haven't checked out the Awesemo Plus product, use that promo code Shamrock. You'll have a ton of fun and hopefully you'll have some success using the tools. And there's a plethora of tools, plethora of data information that you can really apply to make the best informed process and decision to find success in playing DFS for sure.
I'm a big fan of Mo Wagner right now. Please go Mo Wagner. Beat James Johnson. That's all that I ask. For the love of God, you're 200 cheaper on FanDuel. So go Michigan in the tournament for you. Best of luck with the Big Ten tournament here for you. Guys, we'll see you back here on Thursday night for the Friday edition of the NBA Slate Starter Podcast. Have a good one.